Yeah, I didn't know what to expect necessarily. Like I said, working at the elementary school, it was very organized. Obviously, you had kindergartners getting picked up by their parents and kids up till 6th grade getting picked up by their parents, and you know what time they were coming and sign-out sheet. The youth bureau was a little bit of a shock to me in some ways. I came in and no one was getting dropped off. All the kids had walked there from, I guess, elementary, middle, or high school. They signed in their name, and they just went about doing whatever the heck they wanted, really. They had I think the kids are really fortunate there. They have a Xbox 360. They had a Nintendo Wii system, a pool table, and that there's books. There's a computer, lab to use. So they have basically everything they need to them. The first thing I noticed, because that was a big part of elementary school back in Oneonta, there wasn't a single kid doing homework. I was there for about 4 hours, and not a single person opened a book the whole time I was there. Sure, I think with these kids, just being from lower income families, I think a lot of them, their parents haven't gone to college, their siblings haven't gone to college, and for that reason there's just a lack, or there's no emphasis on education. I think these kids at an early age, unfortunately, get the idea that they can't go to college, whether it be monetary reasons, or just because no one's ever told them they could, or they're not told that they're smart enough to, or that they'll never amount to anything big. And it's just sad to see, knowing that these kids are here for 3 to 4 hours, and I'm seeing them for 3 or 4 hours, but who am I to go tell them that, just to let you know, if you do your homework, you have a better chance of going to college, or you know that in 10 years when you're 25, you're going to be working at a job somewhere in Cortland, and you're not going to be getting far in life. So I think that's it's really unfortunate. Obviously, these kids, you see them for 3 or 4 hours, and you just want to make sure they have the best time possible. And obviously, coming to the youth bureau is a good way for them to relieve stress. They don't have to worry about the outside world or what happened at school if they were picked on, or what happened at lunch or recess, and they can be themselves and be with other kids a lot like them. So my first night there, the youth bureau, they're really fortunate that they are able to supply dinner to these kids 3 to 4 times a week. But obviously feeding 25 kids on a nightly basis is hard to do, especially with such a small staff. But I was involved helping making spaghetti, pasta and sauce for the night, and we made garlic bread. And we made a box of pasta, 2 loaves of garlic bread, and like I said in my paper, that could feed me and my roommates. But instead we were trying to feed 20 to 25 kids. And it was really saddening to see that you tell the kids the food's ready, and they run over there like it's Christmas morning. And it's just like, why, for just a little bit of pasta and just a little piece of bread, that these kids get so worked up and just so happy that they have something, just because you don't know what they have at home, or if they have anything at home. And unfortunately, the kids can only take a spoonful or 2 of the pasta, and you cut the bread into slices, and some kids want to come over for seconds and thirds, and unfortunately there's just not enough. So just seeing that, realizing that we're on campus here, and you go to Newbig Dining Hall for an example, and how much food we waste on a dining hall trade for an example, or you pick up an extra hamburger and you just leave it there because I'm not hungry, but it's part of my meal plan, and what the heck, I'm not hungry anymore. But in the meantime, you have all these kids in the community that wish they could have that hamburger, or half of a hamburger, anything like that. It was just that type of thing. Just seeing the poverty that does exist in the area was really disheartening. And another one was the second day that I was there. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And there was a kid that I didn't really get to know him all that well, but I knew his name and whatnot. He seemed like a good kid overall, and it didn't seem like guidance was great at home, but he was on the right track for then. He was having a good time for a good hour and a half that he was there, and it was 4 o'clock, and he told one of the other volunteers or supervisors there, he says, I have to go home. And Matt, the guy, said, why are you going home? It's only 4 o'clock. He said, well, I don't have a jacket today. It's too cold to walk later. And just knowing that the poor kid has to leave the place that he's comfortable with because his parents or his family, unfortunately, can't provide for him in the way that is really necessary, and that he has to go home based on the weather, not because he wants to, or he has to go home for dinner, or another reason, but based on the weather. He had no other choice because he couldn't get a ride. Workers there aren't allowed to give rides for multiple reasons, and he had to run home himself and get home before it got too cold and too dark. Yeah, I got out of class one afternoon, got done with my comm history class. It was 1:30. I had plenty of homework to do. I had some other things to attend to later in the evening, and with Dragon Chronicle and whatnot. I thought I can call in sick and save myself 2 hours, whether I just sit here and watch TV or I sleep for 2 hours or whatever the heck I want to do for 2 hours myself. But I realized in the long run and even the short run that those 2 hours mean a lot more to those kids that I'm helping or working with in some interaction. Those 2 hours mean a lot more to them than that nap will mean, or that 2 hours of watching ESPN, or that 2 hours of Facebook, or whatever it may be. And for that reason, I got my butt up and decided there's as tired as I am and as much as I'd rather do something else, that I'll feel a lot better and the kids will feel a lot better knowing that there's someone else there for them and that there's more interaction and one more person that really cares about them and what they're doing. I got a lot out of it. It was gratifying to myself knowing I was helping these kids and helping the organization. And I think if more people on campus realize they can do the same thing, just an hour or two, you multiply that by all the students on campus, we can make a great change in the Portland community. I think this project just opened my eyes to, obviously, what goes on in the area, what goes on nationally in the world, as we didn't get into it, but current events was a big part of our class and Occupy Wall Street and whatnot. Just getting a greater understanding of self-worth and knowing you can make a difference. And you may not think you can make a difference, and you're just a college kid, and you're just a comm major, you're just a sport management major, and you just got to go to class and go through the progressions and do what you're told, get your whatever GPA that you're happy with, and be content with it. You can do a lot more than that with the extra time that you have, and you just don't really realize it until you make that jump. On campus, we look at people at first glance, and we realize they dress differently from me. He's from Long Island, I'm from upstate New York. We're completely different people. He drives this car. I don't have a car on campus. And I think if we get to know people more, we'll really understand that we're all in Portland, and that's not the only thing we share. And there's a lot more bonds that can be made and a lot more good that can be done by just getting to know people and working with people that you're not really sure about, or you may be even uncomfortable around them at first just because of perceptions that you get. But I think the more you get to know someone, and this is what I found at the Youth Bureau, a lot of the people that I was volunteering with, they were nothing like me. Whether it be appearance or interest, but we had one common bond, and that was that we wanted to help the kids. And that's all you need, is that one common thread.